Want an easy way to see if you could save money on car insurance? Geico gives you 3. Call 1-800-947-AUTO. Go online to geico.com or stop by the Geico office nearest you. 3 ways you could save 15% or more.
And now, Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN Radio.
When I pop the trunk, head to death. Y'all pop the trunk, I pop the hood.
Now act stupid, I'll pop the trunk. Give me your boom.
It's Friday. He is Jalen Rose.
What up, dog?
I'm David Jacoby.
And on the cool check-in.
Together, we are Jalen and Jacoby. What do?
We give the people what they want.
We've been giving the people what they want on this program for quite some time, so we've logged a lot of things and talked about a lot of topics, and it was the day after the election. Immediately the day after the election, one of the first things that you said is, we will stop seeing teams from some sports from visiting the White House. Well, it looks like that day might be upon us. The Warriors have gotten together. Steve Kerr made a statement saying that they will have a meeting and discuss whether or not they would visit the White House, as most championship teams do after they win. Steph Curry has already said he's not really interested in going. He wants to make a statement. Jalen Rose, when they have this meeting, what do you think the results will be?
And I took a lot of crap for making that statement on this fine program because people felt like I was overreacting to our president, number 45, being elected. But at the time, he was running a divisive campaign. He lost the popular vote. And sports like the NBA and the NFL, if you notice, when political situations take place and they want to see their voices be heard, other than debating about money with the owners, they use their platform to do such, whether via social media or you see activism happening throughout the sport, and you even seen it play out with the national anthem in the NFL. So with that being said, I appreciate that Steve Kerr met with this team and he came out publicly and he discussed it. He wasn't being a dotard when he did it. You like that, don't you?
Yes,
He was basically just saying the truth. And that Steph Curry, for example, is now on wax saying he wouldn't go. But like you retorted, the White House is not going to get their invite turned down.
Oh, yeah, they already did this. The White House has already said, the NBA's in communication with the White House. The White House is like, yeah, if they decide they will come, then we will invite them. But if they decide they won't come, then we won't invite them. I love how they try to use this to make it seem like they're the one making the decision, when in fact it is clearly the Warriors making the decision. I think I would be shocked if after this meeting there was not an announcement that they would not be attending the White House visit. I would be absolutely shocked if this group came together and decided that, yes, they were going to visit the White House. I do not think that this team is going to be invited. And I don't think they're going to be invited because they're going to make a statement saying that they would not attend if they were invited.
Correct. And it really wasn't discussed for public consumption. We talked about it, however. There were also players who denied staying at Trump-branded hotels. When their teams went to said towns where they existed.
And some teams traditionally did stay at Trump-branded hotels as well.
Absolutely. So again, don't be surprised if you don't see the Golden State Warriors, a collection of them in particular, star-level players on their squad, showing up at the White House to celebrate their championship glory.
Oh, you will not see that, and they will also not be invited, which is the twist of this that I just find so hilarious, that they will not be invited because they don't want to come. Next, we have this, Jalen Rose. The NBA, they're making some changes. They want to redo the way they do the draft, and they want no resting and this and that. Well, the latest is they are going to institute a rule for what they call stricter penalties on reckless closeouts on jump shooters. This is already being referred to as the Zaza rule, in reference to Zaza Pachulia putting his foot underneath a landing Kawhi Leonard and completely ruining the Western Conference Finals. Jalen Rose, how is this not known as the Jalen Rose rule? You started this. Take a look at one of the best basketball players to ever do it talking about it.
How does this compare to other injuries you've had in the past?
You Jalen Rosed me.
Jalen, is Zaza getting too much credit for what you invented?
Well, Larry Bird has an exception.
Exactly. Tommy John has a surgery.
I wouldn't mind being in the NBA bylaws.
That's what I'm saying. If there's such thing as bird rights, there should be the Rose Rule. It sounds cool. It's the Rose Rule. You know, when Marv Albert's calling the game, you can be like, oh, looks like they're looking at this one. Could be a Jalen Rose Rule violation.
But I think what ended up happening is the name Jalen became so mainstream that we don't want to attach it to that because we're going to have players in the league named that. I think also Zaza's current, and I'm old and washed up.
Zaza's old and washed up. Zaza's old and washed up, too. Let's be honest. Let's be real.
And when I did it to my good friend Kobe Bryant, go online right now if you haven't seen the Jalen versus Everybody commercial clip that we did about it. It's a hilarious clip. Yeah. It was done in 2000. I was not asked anything about it because nobody knew that it was done intentionally. Nope. I'm not proud of it. I don't think it was cute. I don't think it was cool. I don't think I'm rough and tumble. But if I did have one championship and Kobe had 4, I don't think life would be too different.
Be fine. That would be fine. I wouldn't mind. This needs to be called the Jalen Rose Rule. Can we tweet at Adam Silver? Can we get somebody? Because they're calling this the Zaza Rule. I mean, Zaza is like the second most important Zaza in our lives. Shout out to Zaza Gabor. Love Zaza Gabor. Do you know who that is?
And also, think about this. Kobe rebounded to put the smackdown on us, and the Lakers went on to win the first of their 3 championships in a row. Zaza hurt Kawhi when he was up 20 at Golden State. So that would have looked a lot different for a team that went through the playoffs and ended up only losing 1 game. Because I don't know what would have happened with that San Antonio series, but I could guarantee you they were going to lose that night.
Jalen Rose, I saw this on Twitter yesterday, and I almost thought it was like a joke tweet. But this is apparently real. Kendrick Perkins is on the Cavs? Kendrick Perkins is on the Cavs? I saw that he was at LeBron's workout, his little pre-camp that he does in Santa Barbara. I was like, oh, he just likes having Perk around. You know what I mean? He's good at dinners and stuff. And, you know, it's just nice to have Perk around. He's a nice person to have around at the facility. The Cavs are actually inviting him to training camp where he can vie for a roster spot. What are the chances that he actually ends up on the Cavs?
As MJ got older and you saw him on the floor or away from the floor,
Michael Jackson.
That shadow behind him was happened to be Charles Oakley every time. Watching over, being his bodyguard, being his brother, of course. But as you start to get older in the game, and LeBron clearly has done that, playing at an elite level, averaged more rebounds and assists, actually last season than he had at any point of his career, still playing at an elite level. LeBron looking around like, I need a bodyguard. I need some security.
You don't think they need a low post presence? You don't think they're going to dump the ball into him to start the offense and start making cuts around him? You don't think that's what Kendrick Perkins is for?
Not going to be able to do it. They putting him on the sideline so he can give them KD trade secrets because he played with them in OKC.
There you go.
And also, if you don't remember, KD won the championship and finals MVP.
He did.
This past year. And so this is why you have somebody like Perk around. I know when you see him out there on the floor, sometimes it looks like he's running down the floor in combat boots.
It always does.
But ignore that because Perk is a vet. He's going to bring some wisdom, going to set some tough screens, and he's going to keep collecting an NBA check. These are the type of moves that contending teams make at a veteran at the end of the roster that can bring value in the locker room, on the airplane, and in certain situations on the floor versus losing teams that want to save that money and hire a young player that won't bring those qualities.
Exactly. Well, a losing team did hire a young player, and this is even more shocking than Perkins. The Suns have given a non-guaranteed contract to Anthony Bennett. What is happening? What is happening in the NBA? How is Anthony Bennett potentially going to be on an NBA roster?
Cavs former number 1 pick, played on a couple of teams after that. Washington and Toronto come to mind. You thought he was going to find a home in Toronto because that's where he was from. I told you not going to be able to do it. Now Phoenix picks him up. Here's the thing when you're in his situation. They're just bringing bodies to camp. They want to see if he's in shape. They want to see if he has what it takes to make the roster. If he wants a job in the NBA, he got to perform.
Something tells me he won't be in shape, and something tells me he will not make an NBA roster. Something else tells me that it might be a spot for you out there, Jalen Rose. If Kendrick Perkins is on a team and Anthony Bennett's on a team, there might be a spot for Kangaroo Jalen in the NBA. Uh-oh.
And now, the Don't Get Fired topic of the day.
Y'all seriously gonna do this to me? Baby needs shoes, partner need bail money.
This is the Don't Get Fired topic for so many different reasons. The producers, they don't want us to do this topic. We probably shouldn't do this topic, but you know what? It's the Don't Get Fired topic.
You're being such a dough turd today.
You said it like 4 different ways. It's about Albert Hainsworth. Albert Hainsworth, he had some issues with his significant other, so she was in the news. It was clear that his significant other was of the Caucasian race. Some people had something to say about that. So here's Albert Hainsworth's public rebuttal. I'm going to read. This is from Albert Hainsworth. These are his words. I don't even know what to make of this. We're going to get fired. Quote, "Let me get something straight everybody can understand. I love all women. As long as you're a beautiful, real woman, trust me, I'm trying to smash. So to think that I'm going to alienate 1/6 of the U.S. population, you are bleeping wrong. My bleep biggest problem is I love women. Pray one day one woman can settle me down, parentheses, black, white, brown, or yellow. But until then, I'm like most guys in this world, just a squirrel trying to get," and then there's an emoji. Here's what Albert Hainsworth did wrong here. He's trying to be open. He's trying to be like, I love all women. But at the same time, the first thing he says is that he's trying to smash. Okay, that doesn't sound very respectful. The second thing he says, as long as you're a beautiful, real woman, it's like, well, you don't have to be beautiful. And this is like, do you know what this reminds me of? This is like the person that yells calm down at the top of their lungs. It's like what you're trying to do and what you are doing are completely at odds with each other, Albert Hainsworth. This is not a celebration of women like Jalen and Jacoby do on Wednesdays. This is misogynist at its very core, and he's trying to make it sound like he's this nice guy who's open to all people.
And it's really sexist because you tied attributes to it.
Mm-hmm.
Like beautiful and real. But I want to peel back the onion a little more, and I see why this is the Don't Get Fired topic of the day.
Oh, we're about to get fired.
So it's time to go in.
Oh, no.
The reason why he had to do that statement.
He didn't have to, but he did.
Well, he did have to, because I actually usually don't pay attention to a lot of the things that you know, because I like to be on wax for the first time with this program. I remember the original story that he basically had a domestic situation allegedly when he was at a restaurant years ago, and he was paying his bill, and he put the credit card inside the woman's boobs that was serving the table. What? Afterwards, being questioned, he said, "I wouldn't do such a thing because I don't like black women."
Mr. Hainsworth, I'm starting to think maybe not the greatest guy. Maybe not a role model.
That's what he said then. To fast forward what we're talking about now. That's one. Two, that's why he said, I wouldn't section off a percentage of the world, because that comment was noted by him. However, it's important to point out, men can be victims of domestic violence as well.
Absolutely. Yep. No matter what size, no matter what you do for a living, that's absolutely true.
And from what I've seen in this situation that's current with him and his Caucasian mate, is that she was verbally and physically abusing him. And she's a former basketball player. It's important for me that we should say her name, because we're saying his. Yep. But either way it goes, I just wanted to make sure I acknowledge the entire story.
I don't want to get fired.
This is why he came out and made the statement the way he made it. I'm going to Google her name.
Okay. It's the most research you've done for the show, at least this week.
Brittany Jackson is the woman that allegedly committed acts of domestic violence versus Albert Haynesworth. It's important when we talk about topics like that to be fair and balanced. We said a lot about his name, but he was the victim in a story that you introduced, so I wanted to make sure
Allegedly.
I said her name too. A former basketball player.
Kyrie Irving was 45 minutes late to a meeting with Brad Stevens. Let me explain to you why. He has a Jeep. He had the engine changed in his Jeep. Okay? He filled the Jeep with regular gasoline. The Jeep broke down because apparently when they changed the engine, it no longer took regular gasoline. It must have taken diesel, or perhaps they put in some sort of other type of higher octane gasoline, so it didn't work. So, is that a legitimate excuse from Kyrie Irving?
So with that being said, hit the brakes. You're the capo of the minivan mafia.
Yes, I am, sir.
I bow down, I salute, I kiss the pinky finger.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Shout out.
There will be zero Jeep slander in any way, shape, or form. This is all on Kyrie.
This is all Kyrie. That's what I'm saying. It's like, if here's the thing. I'm sure at some point they're like, oh, Kyrie, by the way, you need to use this type of gasoline.
There's more.
Oh, okay.
For those that don't know, you haven't seen me in the streets of Detroit, Michigan. Jalen Rose drives a Jeep.
How many times have you switched out the engine on your Jeep? How many times have you felt the need, like, you know what, I'm going to switch out the engine?
None.
Exactly. What are you even switching out the engine for in the first place, Kyrie?
And once you switch out the engine, they clearly tell you.
They tell you.
Hey, you know when you go to the pump, you have to go to the one that says diesel.
Yes, it's not even diesel, it's high octane. You just need to
Oh,
use
high
high
octane?
quality. Here's another thing, is if I'm Brad Stevens and I'm waiting 45 minutes and Kyrie didn't text or anything, and when he shows up, he says, oh, here's what happened. And I'm going to be like, that's not, no, like that's not
So
working.
here's
You're
what
still
you
late.
got to do in those situations.
What's that, Mr. Rose?
These are the kind of decisions that money buy. Here's what I would have did. I'd have left the car and Uber to the meeting.
Exactly.
And dealt with that after.
There you go. Great work, Mr. Rose. That is
That's
the sort of
right.
insight and intelligence that you get here on Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN
I love
Radio.
Jeep, the #1 corporate sponsor of the Jalen Rose Leadership Academy.
Jalen Rose, time for Keep It Moving. Not everything is worth discussing on this Friday. So I'm going to name the headline. If it's worth discussing, you say hit the brakes. If it's not, me, you, and Method Man just keep it moving. The Knicks expect Carmelo Anthony to be at camp. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
Hit the brakes.
Knicks GM Scott Perry said he's keeping a, quote, open mind about Anthony's future with the Knicks, but expects Anthony to be back with the team when training camp starts next week.
A different version of the this Carmelo Anthony scenario is a different version of what you see taking place in Chicago with Dwayne Wade. A future Hall of Fame player playing on a team that probably won't be in the playoffs. And so how do you navigate your way out? One, for Wade, it's a buyout, except you got to accept the number, and you don't want to take a haircut.
Nope.
For Melo, you have a no-trade clause, which is good because you hold all of the cards, yet it handcuffs the team because you're going to dictate where you go. Mm-hmm. And the other team that's trying to acquire your services knows this too. So therefore, if the Knicks are on the phone and they like, yeah, Melo wants to come to Houston, and then Houston says, great, send us Ryan Anderson. They like hit the brakes. We don't want Ryan Anderson's contract at 29 years old, and we already have Kristaps Porzingis playing the 4. And so that now becomes a hiccup to where we hear allegedly that Carmelo Anthony, if the deal can't get done to Houston, would likely, and I've screamed for this, and or OKC, waive his no-trade clause to go run with C.J. McCollum and Dame Dollar in Portland.
I feel like that's not what he really wants to do, though. I feel like if he really wanted to go to Portland, he would be in Portland by now. That's what it feels like to me. But I think that it's like, if we really can't get Houston done, are you sure you really can't get to Houston? Fine, I'll take Portland, as long as it's not here.
Well, we're going to show you how we can't get Houston done. When camp start, and him and Dwayne Wade standing in front of the media discussing being a part of teams that they likely won't finish the season with.
Likely.
One in New York who's on no advertisements of the team.
Nope.
He's not on none of the season tickets. He's not on any of the promotions.
Nope.
The same with Dwayne Wade.
They were talking about the future of the Knicks. I believe it was Scott Perry. He did a blog post on a team website talking about the future of the Knicks and mentioned Ron Baker, Willie Hernan Gomez, mentioned all the young players they got. Guess who's not in there? Carmelo Anthony.
He's not a young player.
Next, Sam Bradford will be out again, most likely this weekend for the Vikings. Keep moving or hit the brakes.
Keep it moving. He was lights out in week 1, though. When they protect him, he's as accurate as they come sometimes.
Sammy Watkins and Tavon Austin are in the concussion protocol after the big Rams win. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
Keep it moving. NFL players in concussion protocol, never a good thing.
Never a good thing. Pablo Escobar's brother is suing Netflix for $1 billion. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
Wow, hit the brakes.
Well,
did you say Escobar?
Yeah. Pablo Escobar's 71-year-old brother, Roberto de Jesus Escobar Gaviria. I'm sure I said that wrong.
You better get it right.
I said it wrong.
We don't want him coming after us.
I said it wrong. I'm sorry to the Escobar family. I'm sorry to Pablo. I'm sorry to Roberto. I'm sorry to Carlos in the control room.
His name is David Jacoby. That is not me.
Jalen Rose at Jalen Rose on Twitter. And he said, this is my favorite part, is Pablo Escobar's brother said, quote, "If we don't receive it, we will close their little show."
See?
Here's the thing. If you got the last name Escobar, you start threatening me, I'm just doing whatever you say. I'm doing whatever you say. If I'm Netflix, I'm like, pay them. I don't care if it's $1 billion. I don't care if it's $2 billion. I don't care if it's $1 trillion. Just pay the Escobars. Because they called their show Little, too. I love that. Their little show. Next, keep it moving or hit the brakes. A teacher in Michigan used homecoming money.
Hit the brakes.
A teacher in Michigan took homecoming money and brought it to a casino and gambled it.
It's almost like a sports story, because what ends up happening is if an athlete gets into trouble, that becomes the headline, not necessarily the other 95% of people who are doing the right thing. So I'm not going to any way, shape, or form allow any teacher slander on this program, on my timeline, in any way, shape, or form. What I will say is they should be paid double immediately of whatever they get. That should be a law. Number one. Number two, that's just disrespectful. And they're going to get punished accordingly.
J.R. Smith was caught by TMZ cameras, and he had something to say about LeBron James's future. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
Hit the brakes.
TMZ was talking to him, and this is what he said about LeBron's future. Quote, "I think LeBron's going to be wherever the bleep he want to be at." J.R. Smith, ladies and gentlemen, which is probably the most accurate statement about LeBron's future that anyone's made up to this point, to be fair.
On my Chris Tucker, I'm at where I'm at, and I'll be where I'll be.
I do have to mention in that picture, group photo of everybody working out, J.R. Smith, of course, wasn't wearing a shirt. He did look he enjoyed himself in the offseason a little bit. He didn't look as trim as he normally does. I liked it.
I didn't zoom in on the picture the way you did.
I looked at everybody in the picture. I did a whole Zapruder thing on that picture. I was like, what is Perk doing there?
You did a whole what?
Zapruder.
What is that?
You never heard of the Zapruder film?
No, sir.
The Zapruder film is the film that everyone has seen of the JFK assassination. So I think the gentleman's name who was recording it was called Zapruder. And when you do a detailed analysis of a piece of film or a picture, you can use the term Zapruder because people know that you went in on it.
Thank you for that teachable moment. You've been doing this for 20 years, sir.
No problem.
Put that NYU education to use.
I barely got educated. I got a diploma, I'll tell you that much. And they got their money. That's all that matters.
Fair exchange is no robbery.
Exactly. John Wall said he doesn't want to be known as the guy who can't get out of the second round. Keep moving or hit the brakes.
Hit the brakes.
That's what he said. He said he doesn't want to be known as the guy that can't get out of the second round. You know what he's known as? He's known as the guy who just signed a huge extension. That's what he's known as. He's known as the guy that's making $30 million a year to play basketball for like 5 years. That's good for me.
Well, Chris Paul looking at him like, man, I'm in the same conference as the Golden State Warriors. I need to lead the Clippers.
So at least you're in the East.
The Rockets had a second best record in the West. as far as John Wall in the East, they're not far off, especially if LeBron leaves the conference.
That's right. Jalen Rose, we have important news. We have an update on the Mad Pooper. In case you're not familiar with the Mad Pooper, it's been very important this week. There's a woman running around Colorado Springs, Colorado, pooping all over the place, and she's gotten in trouble, and the authorities are looking for her. Well, Charmin has tweeted at her, and Charmin is now offering that if she comes forward, if the Mad Pooper who's pooping all over Colorado comes forward, that they will give her a year's supply of toilet paper.
Oh, wait, hold on.
What happened?
I got some advice. Let me be the Mad Pooper's attorney. Don't fall for that.
See, that's a negotiation. That's just the beginning of a negotiation. I'll tell you, here's the thing. A year's supply, I get a year's supply of toilet paper in one trip to Costco. You know what I mean? I got a minivan, put some seats down, one trip to Costco, year's supply. You need to hold out. This is a negotiation, Mad Pooper. I'm so glad that you took this side of this. Because that's why I was thinking the same thing. I was like, a year's supply. Like, she lives by herself. Like,
if you're not giving me no stock, I'm not turning myself in.
Exactly. I need financial benefits. Please, Mad Pooper, if you reach out to Jalen and Jacoby, if you reach out to us, we will keep you anonymous and we will represent you in this negotiation with Charmin. We are on your side, Mad Pooper.
I got to say something that's really important that has changed over the decades.
Don't get fired.
Do you think she could at least start walking around with a bag to clean it up afterwards?
No, she cannot. And anyone who's like, Jacoby, how do you know that the Mad Pooper lives alone? Oh, I know the Mad Pooper lives alone. Okay? When you run around the town and you poop all over the place, that's a single person. All right, just some less important news. This is interesting. Sam Presti announced that Russell Westbrook might not be 100% at the start of training camp. Why not? Because he is getting a PRP injection in his knee. What's a PRP injection, you ask? Well, I Googled it. The use of platelet-rich plasma, a portion of the patient's own blood having a platelet concentration above baseline to promote healing of injured tendons, ligaments, muscles, and joints, can be applied to various musculoskeletal problems. Wait a second. So you're telling me that the MVP of the league is not going to be available to start training camp because he had his own blood injected into his knee, a knee that wasn't technically injured last season? Is this cause for concern or am I overreacting?
No cause for concern. It's one of those things where medicine has really benefited the modern day athlete because later in my career, as they was introducing this level of medicine and science, I heard about it, but it wasn't as sophisticated as it is now. Because if you've ever seen my right knee, it's almost like a quarter on the top of my knee, and I actually need that exact same thing done. A good friend of mine who's a coach for the New York Knicks, Howard Isley, had it done. He's been trying to encourage me to do it for years.
I know there's a problem with this, though, Mr. Rose. Because I know what they would do. They would take some of your blood, they would analyze it, and they'd be like, this is no good. This isn't going to work. This isn't going to work. The lab test came back, and you failed. Somehow you failed the blood test. I don't know. That's just what happened. We can't use your platelets. Your platelets all ran away. That's what happened.
Yeah, Russell will be just fine.
Okay. I just thought it was weird. Next, Pat Riley kind of likes his chances in the East. This is interesting. Take us behind the curtain after I tell you what Pat Riley said. Quote, Cleveland lost who I thought was, next to Steph Curry, the best true point guard both ways in Kyrie Irving. They got a great one back, but there are some questions there. We see an opportunity because there isn't a Golden State in our conference or San Antonio or Houston. We will take advantage if we can. Okay. Is Pat Riley right in his assessment of the Eastern Conference, or is he just salty that LeBron left, so he's throwing some shade?
Well, he's 75% right, 25% shade. Because the Golden State Warriors are in a class of their own.
That's
and they're
right.
the defending world champions. The San Antonio Spurs brand speaks for itself.
The Spurs are just happy to be mentioned. They're like, oh, you put us with the Rockets and the Warriors? Okay.
Now, when you talk Rockets, you look eye to eye with the Cavs, and then you say, wait, they're not on the Cavs level. I know they added CP3. I know they have James Harden, but the Cavs have LeBron James. And if you look at the photo that they tweeted out, yes, they lost Kyrie Irving, But the Cavs have a squad.
They're deep. Thank you for bringing that up. I was like, oh, Derrick Rose? And then there's a Channing Frye. I was like, their second team is pretty good. They're a deep team.
So if I had to rank the NBA squads in order, based on who I felt like had the best opportunities to win the championship, it would be Golden State Warriors 1, Cleveland Cavaliers 2.
Just like it has been. It hasn't changed. You could trade Kyrie. You guys can add Chris Paul and whatever. But at the end of the day, we're going to see another Warriors-Cavs finals.
Now, let me talk about the 75 for an all-time great puppet master in Pat Riley.
Oh, what's that?
He saw his basketball team have a great second half of the year.
Finished 30-11, I believe.
And so when you have a squad that used to have LeBron James in uniform, you hope to get a chance to play against him in the playoffs. Not that they're going to win, but Pat Riley would love to be in an arena where the Miami Heat fans see LeBron James on the floor and they're booing him. He's a competitor. He didn't like how LeBron left the squad, allegedly. And, by the way, he's the GM of another squad in the conference. He should be competitive enough to only want to toot the horn of his squad, who has one of the best coaches in the game, in Eric Spoelstra.
Jalen Rose, it is Friday, as I mentioned. We are headed into a weekend. We are going to preview some of the more intriguing events in sports that will be happening this weekend. Are you ready?
Let's get it.
You know where we're going to start.
Where's that?
The Falcons and the Lions. This is the game of the weekend all of a sudden. This is the game of the weekend. Let's just say,
we do.
You always say you're unbiased, you love your teams, but you're objective about it because you're a professional, mature, responsible analyst.
Do you realize how many players over the last legitimate 10 years, but realistically 15 years, that play for my favorite teams that have gotten upset with me? My team ain't like, I'm not the media guy that roots for the Lakers because they have the most championships, or roots for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Like, I root for my squad.
Okay.
I don't team jump.
Okay. I team jump.
And if you look back at the history of some of the teams that I root for, we don't win a championship every year.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
Tigers, 1984.
That was a while. Lou Whitaker was probably on the team then.
Alan Trammell, Chet
love that
Lemon
team.
diving at first base.
Sparky Anderson in the dugout.
No doubt about it.
I was at Tiger Stadium growing up. You don't know that about me. I was at Tiger Stadium wearing the D on my head.
Larry
I almost got
Herndon.
beat up in Boston once because I was wearing a Tigers hat.
Dan Petrie.
I probably almost got beat up just because I was kind of weak and
Dave Roseman.
sad. Probably nothing to do
Kurt
with the hat.
Gibson.
I was getting picked on.
You see, I'm into this. So, fast forward. My Detroit Bad Boys got me a couple, 89 and 90.
We're going to preview the weekend?
We poking out our chest. Chauncey Rip, Big Ben, and she, along with Tayshaun, got us one in 2004.
Shout out.
Now the Lions, one playoff victory in 60 seasons.
That's crazy. That is crazy. That's absolutely bonkers. Yep. So
the Red Wings gave me some love.
So Jalen,
with that being said,
do you honestly think that your team, what percent chance out of 100 do you think the Lions have of winning against what looks to be the best team in the NFC, the Falcons?
I give us a 35% chance.
I think that's pretty accurate. I'd say 33, but that's not bad. I'll take 1/3. Again, I would be happy to do push-ups right here on this floor. I got 10 push-ups for you. I'll clap in between them. If the Lions win. What are you going to do if the Falcons win? Oh, nothing. That's right.
Well, you know what I love about you?
What?
Is that you've been focused on your health lately.
I have. Hot yoga 5 days this week, baby.
How about that?
5 days this week, Monday through Friday, every single day.
And it's no coincidence on this program 2 years ago you didn't hear either one of us talking about doing any push-ups.
Oh, no. It's for good reason.
We were doing only 12-ounce curls.
All right, we got the London game, the Ravens and the Jags. I like this one because I live on the West Coast. It starts at like 6:30 in the morning. You know what I mean? So like the second I open my eyes, first of all, I got to deal with my kids. But the second I actually get out of bed, put my feet on the ground, there will be a football game on Sunday.
Now, I'm a true football fan, so yes, I was one of the guys that was actually watching Rams and 49ers Thursday night.
I love that game. That was a fun game. The Rams
ended
look
up
good.
turning into a really good game where they combined for 80 points.
Rams look good.
I will be watching the game you just talked about.
Ravens and Jags.
But I got to just be 100.
That game's whack.
The casual fan won't.
It's not going to be that good. I'm not really going to watch it. I'll probably be out. I'll be making breakfast for my kids or whatever. It's just not, we don't really export the best of what we have. You know what I mean? We're not showing the best of what we have to the great people of the United Kingdom.
Shout out.
Giants. I think the Giants could lose to the Eagles. The Giants could lose to the Eagles and be 0-3. Like, that's on the board. The Eagles don't look so bad. Carson Wentz has been looking pretty good. Like, the Eagles look better than I thought. The Giants look worse than I thought. They could be 0-3.
You hate to have must-win games earlier in the season.
It's not a must-win game.
This is one for the Giants.
Oh, I love it. Cowboys-Cardinals. The Cowboys might actually win.
Cowboys.
Patriots-Texans. We know which way that's going.
Patriots. J.J. Watt gets 2 sacks.
You know what?
Gronk catches a touchdown.
I don't gamble on sports, but if I did, I would just go huge on this Colts-Brown game just to make it exciting.
T.Y. Hilton catches 2 touchdowns.
Frank Gore gets a couple. Runs them in. Dolphins-Jets.
What about Jacoby?
Jacoby Brissett? He'll be throwing them. I'm worried about Jacoby. I'm worried about Jacoby psychologically. You know, I'm worried about him. I'm worried about him in so many different ways. I'm worried about him behind that line, right? No one's made of rubber, and he's gonna be behind that line. And I'm worried about the last pass he threw was to the other team, and luck cost him the game in overtime. That's hard to battle back from. But when you do look behind you and you're like, oh, I got Scott Tolzien backing me up, they're not gonna put him in the game. You know, that's job security right there.
That gives you confidence.
That's job
right
security
there.
right there. Yeah. Oh, Scott Tolzien, they're not gonna put him in. I can throw 4 picks in the first quarter. They wouldn't even think about putting him in. USC against Cal in college. I'm excited about that. USC's like sneaky been pretty good the last few years.
Quarterback play.
Mm-hmm.
Sam Darnold.
We got Michigan and Purdue.
Michigan by 21.
I don't love this. I don't love this for Michigan. I can't lie. Raiders and the Washington football team.
So, Kirk Cousins and Terrell Pryor actually rebound this week, even though their team won't win. Terrell Pryor, one of the best athletes out there. Here's a guy that played quarterback in college, transitioned to be an all-purpose player with the Browns. Now he's the #1 wide receiver for a team.
It's crazy.
That's an adjustment period. I think he gets loose this week. He catches for 150 yards and a touchdown. Raiders win. Amari Cooper gets going this week.
Here's what's interesting. The Saints and the Panthers. The Panthers could beat the Saints, who have not looked good thus far. And they could be 3-0, but they're not a very impressive 3-0 after these 3 weeks.
I feel bad for Adrian Peterson if he don't have a good game this week.
Oh, yeah. Adrian Peterson did not sign up for this.
It might
he
be
didn't
like,
sign up for this.
It might be like above the rim. It's a shame what happened to Flip.
I feel like he's just like, after practice, he opens up his laptop and looks at old YouTube videos of himself when he was on the Vikings, running people over and running for 200 yards. Because that is not who he is right now. More importantly, Jalen, any movies you're going to see this weekend?
No movies. Wifey and I was looking at the movies that came out on Friday. Nothing jumped out at us.
There's only one type of movie you like. Just be honest. What type?
Gangster.
You like movies with black people in them. Jalen, Draymond Green said he spoke face-to-face with Kevin Durant about Kevin Durant and his Twitter fingers and his anonymous accounts, his burner accounts, and him defending Kevin Durant. Do you know what Draymond Green said he did?
What's that?
Laughed right in his face. Like, I think people do make a little bit too much of a big thing of this. Like, it's not like Kevin Durant has a secret identity where he's out here. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like we've uncovered some crime that he committed or he did something. It's a completely victimless thing that he did. He just likes to engage with trolls with his spare time on the internet. It's not like there's some nefarious side to Kevin Durant or he's, criminal or colluding or it means more than this. Like, I think this has been blown out of proportion a little bit. Like, it's not that big a deal. Not that big a deal.
Well, we disagree.
All right, good. I'm right, you're wrong.
You used a couple of terms that I want to dispute.
Okay.
You says that he likes to engage with trolls.
Yes.
When you create a burner account, you're not engaging with anyone. You're doing it in the third person.
Kinda.
And of course, I agree with you, it's nothing criminal. It's not something that his teammates are going to look at him sideways about, or the rest of the league. But that's phony.
It's weird. It's a little weird.
Is actually what that is. And so when you own it and you do it from your main account and you say, this is the reason why I left OKC, then that's sticking your chest out and doing it like you're supposed to. Like we anticipate that he can and or should. Mm-hmm. Like you're giving him credit for. He ain't do that.
One thing I love about this is, like, of all people, Draymond Green, because he can't say anything to Kevin Durant.
That's why he laughed.
This is a man that took a picture of his own genitalia and published it for the world to see. Do you know what I mean? So Kevin Durant would be like, but you want to talk to me about Twitter? You want to talk to me about my social media account? Come on, Draymond. It's interesting. It's interesting. The report that, like, I just think it's being completely blown out of proportion. You know, like I don't think it means that much about his character. Do you? Like, I don't think it says too much about his character. I just think that he's wasting time.
We disagree. It is not being blown out of proportion.
I think it's being blown out of proportion.
It isn't. Because character's who you are when nobody's looking. And of course, I have a terrific amount of respect for KD. I got him on the text. We supposed to get up and break bread.
Shout out.
And the thing about being older than the players that I covered is I am fortunate that I didn't have a major phase of having to care about what people thought, because when I first came out for public consumption, even in high school, there were people writing about our program. A gentleman named Mick McCabe, who still works for the Detroit Free Press. He wasn't a fan of Perry Watson, wasn't a fan of Detroit Southwestern, and so he constantly wrote about our program. And we were the number one team in the country. So once I got to college, and now we look back at the Fab Five and the rise of the squad and the popularity, but it wasn't beloved then.
No, it really wasn't.
And so living through those experiences, and now it hardened me young. So once I got to the league, I'm like, I ain't tripping off with nobody say I'm getting paid to play. Like, y'all can't say, I just bought my mom a crib, got a new Benz, got a Suburban with 2 TVs in it, real ones, before they was doing monitors. Man, please. I don't care what the meet, man, whatever. What time to practice? What time the game? And so he's just showing that he still cares, regardless of what he's accomplished. And hopefully this turbulence gets him past caring what people on social media think about him.
If you call 985-80-JALEN, we will play the voicemails on the show just like this.
What up, dope? This is Alex from Buffalo, currently in Pittsburgh. Just wanted to first give a big shout out to Alex, part of the crew. I know he is. Everybody shouting out Reg, and I love Reg too, my boy. But just want to give a special shout out to Alex. We have the same name, so just like Jacoby shouts out other Jacobys, just want to shout you out. You my bro. Second of all, big keep getting them checks to Jalen, who is on the new iOS 11 update. In the Messages app, there's like a fantasy football, like ESPN fantasy widget, and you can like send like different messages. Like there's like John Gruden ones and Matthew Berry ones, and Jalen is one of them with, keep getting them checks, not going to be able to do it. All the other sayings from the show for people that listen every day that would understand it. Third question is, which NBA statement jersey are you guys liking the best right now? I know the Timberwolves is like a lime green. That's weird. The new Celtics ones are pretty sweet. So let me know what you think. Peace.
I wish those of you listening at home could see Jalen Rose's face when our friend Alex, I believe his name is Alex from Buffalo, but now in Pittsburgh, was describing the new widget, the fantasy widget with the different statements. I could see Jalen, he's texted his agent 4 times already. Being like, I don't know about this. What do you mean? This is my intellectual property. What's going on? But let me tell you something as someone who's worked here for a long time. ESPN owns you. They own everything you say. They own every thought that you've ever had. You don't read the fine print of the contract. I do. Anything that you even create here, any idea you had, anytime you use these microphones that they own all of it, Jalen Rose. So you can just tell your agent right now to not even bother following it.
Okay, got it. Yep. Thank you, Alex.
To answer his question,
put a heads up.
To
I'm
answer his question,
Google that.
First of all, big shout to Alex Montiel on the staff. I think this guy must know Alex. He must know Alex. I always like it when Reggie doesn't get a shout out and everybody else does.
He gave Reg a shout.
Oh, well, we should have edited that part out. His question is about the statement jerseys. My favorite statement jersey is the Warriors jersey because it says the town on it. It says the town right on it, which I just think is cold.
I do too, and Detroit is just like Oakland. Too short, set it on wax. I just saw my guy T Grizzly in the town recently doing shows big up in Oakland. So yes, I agree with you.
Shout out.
The Oakland teams, for public consumption and verbiage, do a better job of embracing town lingo.
Mm-hmm.
I remember being there for the NBA Finals and saw a billboard with the Oakland A's, and it used the term hella.
That's a Bay term. Hella has extended beyond the Bay, but that is Bay born and raised.
No doubt.
Hecka, too, is one that I never really understood. I can never get with Hecka. Thank you so much for the call. Let's listen to another voicemail.
Hey, Jalen and Jacoby, what's up? It's Scotty from Queens, New York. Hey, Jalen and Jacoby. I'm Team Old Man right here. I'm siding with Charles Barkley. I'm born in 1993. I'm currently 24 years old. Born the day before Kobe was born, August 22nd, Kobe August 23rd. And I'm just trying to figure out why these players make so much money, but they need back-to-backs. So you telling me I serve at Applebee's, I make $100 a night. I'm working 14 days in a row, and I feel like that's normal. I'm still going out having a good time, enjoying my life. You making $50 million, and you can't play a back-to-back game of basketball. And wait, the game of basketball probably, 3 hours long, and you get 6 timeouts, commercial timeouts at halftime. I'm working 7 hours straight with no break because servers don't take lunch breaks because you just got to keep serving. I can't believe this. Adam Silver is sold to me. These players are acting like babies. They should not be crying about back-to-back and making $80 million a day. And at the end of the day, you're playing basketball. You know what I mean? You're talking about health and concerns. So there's no health concern me standing all day. I'm standing up all day, moving my feet all day for 14 days in a row. I just got my 2 back-to-back days off. There's no one saying, you know what, you got health concerns. You know what, we'll pay you $500 for the next week. Don't come to work. No one's thinking like that for us. You're playing basketball, guys. Basketball.
Scotty from Queens.
Shout out.
What up, though, Scotty? Thank you for the call. We appreciate the love. He had a little Allen Iverson practice in him.
I like
when
it.
He was talking about you playing basketball.
I liked it.
Basketball.
I liked it. Shout to Applebee's, too. Underrated
no doubt
restaurant.
About it. Hey, Scotty. First and foremost, Jalen and Jacoby appreciate your grind.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's 14 days in a row or 140 days in a row. Hopefully you get a chance to listen to the podcast while you're on the clock.
Yeah, exactly. Just one of those earbud headphones. You can just slide one of those in.
So I just have to tell you something. We live in a society that values sports and pay multi-billions of dollars to make sure that they're on our televisions, that they're in our stadiums, in our arenas.
On our phones.
That most of the time are funded by the people. Tax-paying dollars pay for a lot of these stadiums in your hometown team, your hometown teams. So I understand where you and Charles come from, playing in the era somewhat with Charles Barkley, where we did play multiple 4 games in 5 nights, back-to-back games.
The travel in between. But as the game evolves, there was players before me saying, y'all get to fly on a private plane? Yeah, yep.
Y'all get to wear this state-of-the-art equipment? We were playing in Chuck Taylors. It felt like I was running on the ground. And so as time continues to pass, this conversation will continue to be had. But I have to say something to the legend Charles, who's my idol and my friend. And Scotty did it a couple of times too. How much you're asked to work and how much money you get paid in sports and entertainment don't equal one another.
No.
You refer to them making $50 million. You refer to them making $80 million. No person makes $80 million a year.
Nope.
No person in the NBA makes $50 million a year. Now, if you're Floyd Mayweather, you're getting $300 million in 36 minutes.
That's a lot of money.
Nobody's complaining.
Nope.
Giancarlo Stanton getting $300 million. Nobody's looking and seeing when he's taking a day off or not.
Nope.
We're not counting them. We're counting his home runs. We're not paying attention to his team in the standings. So what I will say is, for the growth of the game, what a lot of teams have done, they've hired people, nutritionists, they've hired physicians and team doctors who now mandate behind the scenes when players should actually sit out of practice and sit out of games, where they've taken it away from the coaches and the players. And so I do have a level of frustration when players are healthy scratches, especially at road games, when the fans don't commonly get a chance to watch said player perform. I have a bigger problem with it when there's multiple star players sitting out on the same night. But usually each team has two, if not more, players that multiple fans are paying to see, that are on the ticket that you bought, that are people are wearing their jersey, that were promoted to be in the lineup. So I do understand that frustration, but you want to keep these guys healthy as possible if you're the owner, to protect your investment, because they now play 12 years of basketball, 12 months of basketball.
And Scotty's a fan. He's a fan of the podcast. And he's a fan of the NBA. And I know when Scotty sees the Spurs and the Warriors on the schedule, he wants to see Steph Curry. He wants to see LaMarcus Aldridge and Kawhi Leonard, and he wants to see Draymond Green. The reason that these rules are in place, the reason they're changing the schedule, is so you will see those players on that day. If you don't make these changes, then they become healthy scratches. So this is a necessary thing. I understand you're working 14 days in a row at Applebee's. You got mean customers. The chefs aren't making your orders right. They're complaining to you. That could be a grind. That could be hard. And you look at these basketball players and say they can't play 2 games in a row. But at the same time, it's a business, and this rule is what's best for business. Thank you so much for the call, Scotty. Shout to you and the whole Q Borough. Let's listen to another voicemail.
Hey, Jalen and Jacoby, this is Isaiah McGuire from Savannah, Georgia. I'm 10 years old, and this is a question for Do-Rag Jalen. How long should I wear a do-rag to get waived? Keep giving the people what they want. Stay away from Kangaroo Jacoby, because there will be a kangaroo apocalypse. Shout out.
I love that man. Can he just come host the show? What's his name? Isaiah McGuire. Can we Google this dude? Isaiah McGuire in Arkansas. Can we just Google him? Can we find him? He's 10 years old. He already knows the show lingo. He knows about the kangaroo apocalypse. He's worried about it. And he has a very, very pointy question for you, Wavy Jalen. Did you get a haircut today?
I did.
I could tell. It's starting to look a little better. The hairline's not as crazy. The side of your beard isn't all. Your cheeks aren't all patchy. Your Cheek's favorite rapper is Apache. His question was, how long does he have to wear a do-rag before he gets waves?
We got to get Reg a microphone.
I love how you've become the authority. You're brand new to this. You're brand new to
answer this question, I'm a rookie still.
You are a rookie. You're still in your 10-day deal.
No doubt about it. But I will say, for me, and getting the encouragement from Mr. Hooks, it probably initially took like a month.
Really? A full month? How many nights a week do you wear the do-rag?
Maybe 2.
2 nights a week? What? This is just like everything else in your life. You know what it is? This is just like everything else in your life. Things just come easy to you. Things come easy to you. Oh, you want to lose some weight? All of a sudden, you just lose weight, and you still eat chips all the time. Oh, you want some waves? You wear the do-rag once in a while, and you brush like a little bit, and then you got waves. What? Oh, man, you're the best.
I promised. There were 2 things that I promised myself I wanted to have by my birthday, January 30th.
Oh, okay.
that I haven't had at the same time ever in my life.
One thing I love about Jalen Rose is he's not one of those dudes who wants to sneak his birthday past everybody. He's like, I want to celebrate my birthday. I want all of you to make a big deal about it, and that's just who I am as a person. I respect people that know what they want and know who they are.
No doubt. I never had waves, so this category fits in a six-pack. I want to have both of those on my birthday.
I'll buy you a six-pack, Jalen. I'll buy you a six-pack, but it ain't going to be on your abs. It'll be in your stomach, but it won't be on your stomach.
Don't sleep on me.
Thank you so much for the calls. Don't forget, if you call 985-80, leave us a voicemail. We'll play it on the show. We've got some great people listening to the show. So part of what we do here is we open up our 1-800-FLOWERS Twitter feed and take questions. Our first question that we have is from Wicked Sports.
Shout out.
I can't do that one. These guys are trying to get me fired. The producers give me the tweets, and they're trying to get me fired. This is from Young Poppy. He says, why did Jacoby call Jim Harbaugh the Kanye West of college football?
That's one of your best ones.
He's always not one of my best ones. That's not even top 1,000.
That's a great one, fam.
He's always keeping his name in your mouth. You know, he's always doing something. If you notice that there is no other college coach, there are probably 10 other college coaches that are more successful than him, that have a better program than him, and have been doing it longer than him. Probably more than 10, 100, but they don't get talked about like him. He's the Kanye West of college football for that reason. You excited about the Purdue game, Jalen? You nervous? You a little nervous about Purdue?
I am nervous about Purdue.
You should be a little nervous about Purdue.
A Big Ten foe. You know, we didn't play really well last week, struggled in the red zone. As you know, I was standing on the field. We shall see, but I think we'll take care of business.
Next question we have is from Wes. Wes wants to know, how do I tell people that I like wrestling without being weird? It's a great question. First of all, Wes, you need to look in the mirror first before you talk to somebody else. And you say, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to be me. If you like wrestling, get yourself a wrestling t-shirt, wear a headband, paint your face, do whatever you got to do, man. If you like wrestling, go do that.
I love wrestling as well. A lot more when I was, I guess, half my age and younger. Mm-hmm. When it was Hulk Hogan, Roddy Piper. I love Piper's Pit. George the Animal Steel.
I love George the Animal Steel.
The Killer Bees, the British Bulldog.
So my thing about wrestling is I don't dislike it. I actually, every time it's on and I catch it, I do enjoy it. I just don't seek it out. I wouldn't say I'm a wrestling fan, but I'm not anti-wrestling. I understand the appeal. It is interesting. It is entertaining. It's just not something that I look for.
Bobby the Brain Heenan.
Sorry for interrupting you, listing wrestlers from your past. Please continue. Can we get the
the Iron Sheik,
Junkyard Dog,
Macho Man, and Elizabeth?
What is happening? Some of those storylines from Macho
Jimmy
Man and Elizabeth
don't
exactly hold up over time. Wrestling used to not be as politically correct as it is now. Let's say that much.
Wow, it's crazy that almost like regurgitating names and information from professional sports, I could just sit here and name off 15, 20 wrestlers like it's no big deal. I was invested. I should have bought stock. I remember the first Saturday night main event. It was a big deal. The cage match.
You're so weird. Big Crown, one of our co-producers.
Shout out.
Greatest mail carrier of all time. Said, Jalen, who's the best big man you've ever played with?
The best big man I ever played with? 6 in one hand, half dozen in the other. One side is heads, one side is tails. Juwan Howard and Chris Webber.
Oh, there you go. Great answer. Dominic wants to know, what was the last book you've ever read that's not a magazine? Now, this is for me. I don't read a lot of books.
Muhammad Ali. See, Molly's a reader.
Oh, really?
And
good for her.
I'm a newspaper, magazine.
Me too. I'm a news guy. I'm a news hound more than I am like a reader.
Going to multiple websites and reading stuff online. But we lay out, we get sun. She has a book. Mm-hmm. So therefore, you can't really have electronics outside and read because you can't get sun like that. Clearly, you're not watching television. And so she looking at me like, you need to start reading books. So she challenged me to read a book.
Okay.
And she got me the Muhammad Ali autobiography. I'm actually reading it right now.
Great. What page are you on? 4, 5?
I actually read some today. You'd be proud of me.
What page are you on, Jalen?
Probably like 100.
Oh, good for you. Well done. Good for Molly. I read, I don't read that much, but I really enjoy the classics. You know, because here's the thing. If something was written 400 years ago and we're still talking about it, that's what I'm going to read. I'm not going to read something that's just on the shelf. The last book that I read was Romeo and Juliet by Shakespeare. I like Shakespeare.
What's the plot of Romeo and Juliet?
Are you serious?
Yeah.
The plot of Romeo and Juliet? Well, they're from 2 different families. And the
they're from 2 different families. No.
I'm explaining. Jalen, you're not going to get me on this one. I actually read this. There are 2 different families. The families have beef. Serious beef between them. Romeo's cool. He's got some boys. Benvolio, Horatio. Those are his homies. They're hanging out. Next thing you know, Romeo is in love with love. He really wants to be in love, but he's in love with love more than anything else. And then he falls in love with Juliet. And guess what? Star-crossed lovers. Doesn't work out. 2 different families don't like each other. Families got beef. And at the end, I don't want to spoil it. Spoiler alert from a movie from a book that came out a millennium ago. They both die at the end. One of them tries to fake die, and the other one dies too. It's a mess. They end up lying next to each other dead. It's the saddest ending.
You sure you're not describing the Hatfields and McCoys?
Yeah, I'm sure.
All right, that's 1. 2, it seems like the family dynamic is really important. What were the family names?
Okay, I'm going to say Capulet was 1.
Yep.
And the Capulets and the Montagues. Yep. Boom! You trying to get me, huh? Capulets and the Montagues. Woo, I'm so proud of myself. Shout out to my dad and my mom being English teachers.
Shout out.
I can't believe I'm proud of myself for remembering the names from one of the most famous pieces of fiction that our human species has ever come up with. The bar is so low on Jalen and Jacoby.
You'll never be accused of being a dotard on this program.
I don't even think that's the word. I don't understand it. Everyone Googled it today. Everybody Googled it today. I don't even understand the word.
That's officially a part of my vocabulary from here on out.
Great.
Learned a new word yesterday.
Next, we have another question from Jordan. Soft move or boss move? Buying Raptors Jalen Rose on NBA 2K18 for a tribute to the pod.
First and foremost, listening to the pod and representing for your boys Jalen and Jacoby and the entire staff is a boss move.
Yeah, always a boss move. Yeah. Shout out to Jordan. Oh, Jordan
it'd be a boss move if you got a Reds jersey. Somebody send us pictures of them rocking a Reds jersey.
Don't send us pictures of you rocking a Reds jersey. Reggie doesn't deserve that. Next, we have Jordan. Is Kemba Walker the most slept-on player in the NBA? It's an interesting conversation. It is an interesting conversation.
You know who I truly think is the most slept-on player in the NBA? Like, serious?
I've got one, too.
Just me being like, somebody that does this basketball thing for a living. The most slept-on player in the entire NBA in both conferences.
I've got one.
Is Damian Lillard.
Oh, that's a good one. I've got another one, too. Mine is also a superstar. Anthony Davis. Like, people don't really talk about Anthony Davis. People don't really like celebrate him as one of the faces of the league or the future of the league. A couple of years ago, he kind of broke onto the scene. Everyone was talking about Anthony Davis. Now it's like, you guys forget about Anthony Davis?
Well, I disagree with you about being slept on because going into a previous season, either 1 year or 2 seasons ago, there are multiple polls, in particular by NBA GMs, that came out and said who would they build a team around, and Anthony Davis was the number 1 player.
Mm-hmm.
So I do agree with you, a terrific talent, but let me tell you why I took Dame. And I think it's a better choice than your choice. Not that we're comparing the two because they're both obviously great players. Dame Dollar leads his team to the playoffs every year.
It's a good point. We'll be back next week. I want to thank everyone for listening on ESPN Radio, for watching on ESPN2 and ESPN News, and subscribing to the Jalen and Jacoby podcast.